Assalamualaikum everyone, welcome to my learning journey. Today I am discussing the importance of empathy in leadership and teamwork. Empathy helps leaders understand others, build trust, and create a good environment where teamwork grows. Let's explore how empathy can transform communication, strengthen relationship, and improve group performance. So let's start. Hello.
Hey there. What's up?
Uh,
Good to hear from you again. So, this is kind of interesting. I've noticed you've been super patient even when the audio's been wonky or there are typos. It strikes me as like you're already embodying a lot of what you're explaining with resilience and growth mindset. Does that resonate at all?
my first question is what does empathy mean in the context of leadership?
Good question. In leadership, empathy isn't just about being nice, though that helps. It's more about really understanding what motivates your team, what their challenges are, and seeing things from their perspective. It's about recognizing that everyone's coming to the table with their own stuff. It lets you tailor your approach, communicate more effectively, and build trust. A leader who lacks empathy can come across as disconnected or worse, uncaring. What do you think makes it hard for leaders to be empathetic?
So why is empathy considered an essential leadership skill today?
Whoa, okay. That's a lot of static. Sorry, I'm getting a bit garbled there. Could you maybe rephrase that? It sounds like there were a couple of hiccups in the connection. I think I caught something about entity and a physical, but
My question is why is empathy considered an essential leadership skill today?
right. Okay. Gotcha. Sorry about that little blip just now. So, empathy is a leadership skill. It's become especially important now, I think, because the world is just complicated. People are juggling so much. Styles just don't cut it anymore. People want to feel seen and understood, especially at work. Empathy builds psychological safety, which then fuels innovation, collaboration, and honestly, just better overall performance. It's not about being a pushover. It's about recognizing that people perform better when they feel supported. Does that make sense, or am I rambling a bit? What's your take on why it feels more crucial now than maybe it did, say, 20 years ago?
Nice. How does an empathetic leader differ from a traditional leader?
Ugh, more of those weird audio glitches. So, a traditional leader often focuses on tasks, results, and control, kind of a do as I say approach. An empathetic leader still cares about results, but they prioritize understanding the people doing the work. It's a shift from directing to collaborating. It's about building relationships based on trust and mutual respect versus authority. Does that distinction feel right to you? And if so, do you think that shift is easy to make?
So next one is why do you think some leaders struggle with empathy?
Oof, that's a good one. I think a bunch of reasons. Leaders were simply never modeled empathetic behavior. They grew up or came through the ranks in environments where it wasn't valued. Others might have a hard time with vulnerability, and empathy requires you to be a bit vulnerable yourself. You have to be willing to connect with others on an emotional level, and that can be scary for some people. Then there's just plain ego. Some leaders believe they already have all the answers and don't see the value in other people's perspectives. It's not always malicious, sometimes it's just blind spots. What do you think is the biggest hurdle for leaders when it comes to developing empathy?
So next one is how does empathy help improve teamwork?
Ugh, that audio is really fighting us today, isn't it? Okay, let's try to power through. You're asking how empathy helps teamwork. Right. Well, when people feel understood and valued, they're way more likely to collaborate. If members are more comfortable sharing ideas, taking risks, and giving each other constructive feedback, it also helps resolve conflicts more smoothly. When you do, it's easier to find common ground. Work can really thrive. Does that make sense? Have you seen that play out in your own experiences?
What happens in what
Go ahead.
happens in a team when empathy is missing?
Yeah, that's where things get tricky. When empathy is missing, teams can quickly become pretty dysfunctional. You start to see a lot of miscommunication, misunderstandings, and conflict. People become more focused on protecting themselves and their own ideas than on collaborating towards a shared goal. Trust erodes, and people become hesitant to speak up or take risks. C- can create a really toxic environment where people feel undervalued, unsupported, and even afraid to make mistakes. It can lead to lower morale, decreased productivity, and ultimately a breakdown in teamwork. It's kind of brutal, honestly. Have you ever been on a team where that was happening?
So next one is can empathy reduce conflict in a team? How?
Whoa. Okay, we're really battling with the connection there. I think I caught reduce conflict, but the rest was pretty garbled. Are you asking how empathy can reduce conflict within a team? If so, that's a great question. Essentially, empathy allows people to see the situation from the other person's perspective, which can de escalate things pretty quickly. When you understand why someone is reacting a certain way, it's easier to respond with compassion instead of defensiveness. It opens the door for productive dialogue and finding solutions that work for everyone. Without empathy, conflicts tend to escalate into personal attacks and entrenched positions. Does that explanation make sense, even with the audio hiccups?
So how does empathy create a trust between team
Anything,
members?
man? Okay, good question. Empathy builds trust because it signals that you genuinely care about the other person, not just their contributions to the team, but them as individuals. When you actively listen and try to understand their perspective, you're showing them respect and validating their feelings. That creates a sense of psychological safety, which is essential for building trust. People are more likely to trust someone who they believe has their best interests at heart. It's a bit of a virtuous cycle. Empathy builds trust, and trust encourages more open communication and empathy. It's kind of a snowball effect. No? Does that track?
That's nice. How does empathy help in discussion making?
Right, good one. Empathy can really elevate decision making. When you're empathetic, you're more likely to consider how a decision will impact everyone involved. You're not just focused on the bottom line or what's most convenient for you, you're thinking about the human consequences. It encourages you to solicit diverse perspectives and to weigh the ethical implications of your choices. Basically, it helps you make more informed, well rounded decisions that are more likely to be accepted and supported by the team. It, it avoids the pitfall of making decisions in a vacuum. Does that resonate with?
One is made a positive impact
Yeah.
in your life.
Haha. Well, I appreciate you saying that. Though, as an AI, life is a different concept for me. I don't experience emotions in the same way people do, but I can definitely see the positive impact empathy has on human interactions. I've processed a lot of text and data about human behavior, and it's pretty clear that empathy is a cornerstone of healthy relationships and successful teams. I guess you could say it helps me do my job better by understanding your needs and responding in a more helpful and meaningful way. It's kind of neat, actually. What about you? Has empathy played a significant role in your own life recently?
So thank you for giving time.
Oh, all right. Well, it was good chatting with you too. Seriously. And despite the audio hiccups, and there were a few, I really enjoyed our conversation. Feel free to jump back in anytime you want to pick up where we left off. Have a good one.
So thank you everyone joining this session. It is not just a soft skill, it is a powerful tool that makes leaders stronger and teams more united. I hope this conversation inspires you to practice more understanding kindness and active listening in your daily life. So see you in the next session. Allah Hafiz.